All right, welcome back, everybody, for another episode of Hidden Gems. This is the video series where I talk about those books that are still probably tucked away in those back issue boxes, those little secret books that people have forgotten about, ignored. They're either undervalued, underpriced, or just some fun things for you to go and dig out of those boxes, just that I think are kind of cool. So some oddball things, some nostalgia picks, some variants, some second prints, things like that. Just a bunch of randomness that I put into different categories that I try to put together and present to you every week. Hopefully you guys are still enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Check out the memberships, which we will be revamping in the new year. I'm going to be sending out one more batch of t-shirts to our S-tier members, and then I'm going to rethink how we do this going forward. So keep an eye out. I'll be dropping some more information about the membership revamp coming up. Yeah, like I said, for 2023. But our current members, thank you all again. I do appreciate you all. I appreciate everybody, but I appreciate the members, and I do have some more stuff going out to you guys in December. So it'll be kind of our little send-off from the old method and introducing our new method. Still working out the details and figuring that all out. But just like I said, yeah, keep an ear out. I'll be announcing something within the next few weeks, I think. That said, I can't announce the winner of the Black Panther Best Guess giveaway because I'm recording this on Sunday night. And I told you, we're using the final Monday numbers. So we'll know maybe for the Chasing Ghosts video who the winner is, and I'll reach out to whoever was the closest to the poll without going over. Price is Right style for that Black Panther Diamond Retailer tiki mug that I'm giving away for the Black Panther box office guess. Now, all that standing aside, let's move on to the books. I'm sure that's what you guys are here for. You want to see that. I did have a quick JSC unboxing, a Campbell unboxing that I dropped earlier tonight, and I am going to be dropping this also on Monday, and I have another video that's also sneaking in before Chasing Ghosts Tuesday, another unboxing. So recorded a bunch of extra stuff this weekend because I had a little bit of spare time and I had a bunch of stuff to open. So hopefully you guys enjoyed all those extra videos. And with that all said, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back with this week's selection of books. Okay, so as we do every week, we will be starting off with our quick artist retrospective. And this week I have another artist for you that I would like to share and go through some of their best work, stuff that I like, and just appreciate the paintings. This is like original art style. This is some gorgeous, gorgeous work, and I'm talking about E.M. Gist. Yes, you guys probably know all these Star Wars books of late that are kind of like been hitting on the market, so people might be paying attention a little bit more because of these Star Wars books. But he's been working for a long time and doing gorgeous, gorgeous work for a while now. Like I said, E.M. Gist, Eric. He's a hell of a nice guy. Did get to speak with him on one of our old shows, which I'm going to get to in a moment. But he is more than just an artist. He is also a teacher. He is a teacher of art, teaching at the Watts. Atelier. I don't know if I can say it properly. Check it out. Check out this school, art education. It's really cool. There's a lot of stuff that they do there. I appreciate art, so I dig it personally. But as I mentioned before, 2 years ago, I think at least 2 years ago now, we used to do a show with me and my buddy Chris Nelms, Mike Murillo, and we used to talk to artists and writers and other comic creators that Chris was able to get a hold of, and he got E.M. Gist to join us for a topic of their choosing. So Eric chose possession covers, so that's what we did. That was kind of the fun show game that we used to play back in the day. I enjoyed it. I wish we could get back to doing it maybe one of these days for fun. But what we would do is we'd have a topic, and then everybody would pick 3 of their favorite covers on that topic, and we'd just talk about it and share. So Chris picked 3, Mike picked 3, I picked 3, and then our guest, and in this case Eric Gist, he picked his 3 favorites, and then again we shared them and we talked about them. It was a fun show. I still have him in the library, I think, here on the channel. So go check him out, the 3 Comic Monty stuff. And also go check out Chris's channel, where I think he still has a bunch of these there over there as well. So the 3 Comic Monty was a lot of fun. Again, we would chat and talk to different creators. It was a lot of fun. And we would talk comics. It's just comic appreciation. But I just don't think it was hitting because we were really focused on being on another channel that was more focused on kind of doing speculation. So anytime we did things that weren't spec related, they just didn't really take off. They didn't hit. The toy stuff didn't hit. The things we're actually talking to creators. It just didn't get the views that we were able to maintain. So maybe we'll try something like this again. I don't know. That all said, and that little quick trip back down memory lane. Like I said, those were some good times. I do miss those days, and I do miss my buddies here. So we haven't worked together in a while, but maybe, again, we can do something again soon. That said, let's get back to those Star Wars books I was talking about that Eric has done. These, again, gorgeous work. Just the paintings is phenomenal. Like, it's just gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. These are the recent issues of Star Wars where he's been doing the covers for them. I love this stuff. And I know this book, I'm going to point it out just because it is that book, for whatever reason, people are talking about first appearances and they're all going after this book, and it's still selling for like $20 on occasion. That was today on November 13th, $20, $36 for a 9.8 though. So it really is very inconsistent. So November 11th at auction, $36 for a 9.8. That ain't that much. $37 on November 9th also for the same thing. So pricing is still all over the place. This is not a hard to find book. This is not a book I don't think of any note, apart from I dig it for the cover. Again, I like the art. And there's copies out there. Look, you can see, buy one for $15 or even take a shot at auction with 99 cents. Who knows where that thing could end up. But he's done a bunch of Star Wars books. In addition, there was that Obi-Wan cover. I really like this one. I think this is the C cover. And then I know there's a exclusive variant out there as well for this. But a lot of really cool stuff. The Halcyon Legacy, as weird of a title as that was, the cover art at least was great. So I could say that. So here's issues 1, 2, and 3. Aura Singh, some cool stuff here. And like I said, it's just gorgeous work. Gorgeous. And I really like the Bosk on 5. So there's 4 and 5 that we're swapping in here as well. I dig the Bosk. It gets that negative space kind of thing. I'm a sucker for those as well. So I do like those covers there. Now I'm pointing these out, but we're not going to price. These are all still cover price or less. These are very, very easy to find books, very cheap books. So if you're interested in the art, you can go hit up your LCS and go pick these up, probably for cover price, if not less, if you find them in a back issue overstock box of some kind. So who knows where you might find those. Now, we can go back to his first works that, from what I gathered, and doing my research and going back to memory from when we talked to him again a couple of years ago, I think his first works were actually these Forgotten Realm novel covers. So these aren't technically comic books, but I wanted to point these out because they are pretty cool. So back in 2007, these, again, the Forgotten Realms, these painted covers, gorgeous stuff. These were the first, I guess, paid artwork that he was doing at the time. So great, great stuff. Again, I also have a little soft spot for that kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons type deal too. So I don't know. Things, if you find them, maybe grab these in a used bookstore if you like that kind of thing. So maybe collect books as well as comic books these days. I don't know if I could do that myself because I just don't have the space, but just an option. If you're curious and you want more of EM Gist's art, you can check that out. Now, I'm going to show you a few variants because in the last couple of years, apart from the Star Wars books, which he's been doing a lot of lately, it seems, he's also done a bunch of variants. Well, maybe not bunches. Maybe that's overstating a bit, but he has done a number of variants on incentive books on just random titles throughout Marvel, amongst, doing some other B kind of cover stuff over at DC throughout the years. But here's one like Morbius. This is, I think, the 2019 run on Morbius. So this is issue 2. This is the one in 25. Again, just has that really cool horror vibe here. While the Star Wars was more classic, it was more of that classic look of the almost like the original poster, kind of like painting style. This horror stuff really is his bread and butter, at least the stuff that I notice the most. And it is intermixed with some superhero stuff and even some like mech type stuff, as he's even got this Warhammer cover that he did and this Amazing Fantasy cover. These are all 1 in 25s that he's done. And I know we don't usually do 1 in 25s here in this section, but I just kind of wanted to point it out just for, just so you know, because even some of these can be, more expensive than you might expect. Like, we'll look at that Warhammer book. I probably could have put this in Chasing Ghosts because this isn't a book that's easy to find in a 1 in 25 incentive. But here we go. We're just going to do it here. So $75 back in September, one sold for raw. And when I went looking, I could only find these two, $48 and $72 raw copies for this Warhammer 40,000 Marnius Calgar. I don't know. I'm not a Warhammer guy. I don't know that stuff all that well, so I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of the title, but it is an interesting book. And again, comic book 1 in 25, oddball thing. This is the kind of thing that I like to collect, but I can't collect at these prices because these are a little steeper than my budget will allow, or I will let myself allow to spend. So, but just want to let you guys know in case you're interested, and maybe you find this at a shop and you go, "What the heck is this? This is variant for $5." Well, man, maybe you should pick it up for that kind of price. And again, that's the point of what I'm doing this for. It's not, not telling you to buy any of this stuff. I'm not trying to create FOMO. I'm not trying to do, push any of these books on you. I'm just talking about comics that I think are interesting and give you some pricing info. So in case you go to your shop, you can gauge whether you want to buy it or not, because maybe it's priced much less than what I'm showing you here. You can see what it's selling for. You can see what the asking price is for. So if you see like this Warhammer book at a shop for like $20, maybe you hem and haw and debate whether you want to buy it or not. Yes, it's under ratio at that price. Some have sold for $75. There's some available in that $50 to $70 range. Do you want to pay $20? Your call to make. Your money. You do what you want. I'm just like, like I said, just talking about books that I think are interesting. Moving on to more 1 in 25s, though. We got this Wolverine number 19. And here's another reason why I'm bringing up the incentives, because some of the incentives, they're cool. I like the art. I like this Wolverine cover. Here's a Ravencroft issue 3, 1 in 25. You got Fantastic Four number 44, 1 in 25. Art fantastic, but even some of these, even at 1 in 25s, are very, very cheap, because there are so many covers being produced these days, especially when we're talking about all these store exclusives, that some of the variants are very easy to find and sell at ridiculously discounted prices. I mean, look, $5 for 1 in 25 is just really too cheap for something this recent. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, this is where I go shopping. I love buying stuff for this kind of cheap, but one would think that it would be a little bit more than like $5. But even if you look online, you want to go shopping, yes, there's $4 copies, $15 copies, $25 copies. But to be able to get a 1 in 25 for cover price really speaks to how many copies are available on the market, or at least where the market is putting their money. Like maybe this book isn't that easy to find, but just nobody's really wanting to pay anything for it because they just don't want to put their dollars on a random Wolverine variant. Me, on the other hand, if it's cheap enough, like I looked at that $4 one, I'm thinking like maybe I'll buy it. Like I said, I like the artist. I like the art for $4. Maybe I get it now, and maybe one day it becomes something. Even if it doesn't, I'm getting it for me because I like collecting art and artists' work. But again, you do what you want with your money. And I just want to point out 1 in 50 as well, because again, some of these things can be priced well below what you would think, like a 1 in 50 for this Web of Venom Wraith cover. Pretty cool, riding the cycle. That Wraith character was all the rage for a little while. I guess he's forgotten about right now. We'll see where things go. But copies of this sold, 1 in 50, mind you, $4, $2.25, $17.20. But $2 for 1 in 50. That's what I'm talking about. Even when what's available, available copies aren't that cheap. But my pointing out of some copies selling that cheap is you keep an eye out for auctions. You may get these books that, again, nobody is looking for these. These aren't in demand. These aren't hot 10 books. These are just random things that I found interesting just because I just came up across covering that. EM Guess was going to be who I'm going to cover this week. I got a list of artists that I like, and I figured I can just randomly pick them almost with no real plan. And it's just who's up next. And that's where we go. So $12, $60 for a 9.6, $15 raw, and then $99 raw. Prices are all over the place here. But the point is, you can sometimes even get them online for so cheap that it's only $2. Or you can't, and you have to pay whatever the market is available at that time. But I'm telling you, dig in your shops, see what you can find there, support your LCS, and go see if you can find some books that are pretty cool. I don't know. Speaking of pretty cool, here's a B cover. This is not an incentive that I love. I love this cover when it came out. This Werewolf by Night number 4, just gorgeous. Just awesome. Like I love the horror stuff. This is a great werewolf cover to me. This issue 4 is just a B cover, and it does all right. But he's done a number of just Marvel stuff, especially in the recent years, that aren't incentives. Like we have the Moon Knight number 1. He did one of the variants for giant size X-Men Phantom X, the B cover. Again, not an incentive. Sometimes these books get listed as incentives, like 1 in 10s, and they're not. They're just B covers. So just be careful of that. But these are just B covers. And while the Moon Knight and even the Phantom X, well, the Phantom X can sell for close to like $10, but it is kind of a thicker giant size book, so the cover price was a little bit more. Moon Knight, still not that much. But The Werewolf by Night, number 4, actually does all right. Maybe it was because Halloween just passed, but copies were selling anywhere from like $8 to almost $20. That's not too bad for just a B cover. So available copies also $20 is really the range that they're in. 20, 20, 22. You know, $20 for this cover ain't too bad for a B cover. It's just all I'm saying. And like I said, his wheelhouse really is this horror stuff, because even years ago, DC, he did a couple DC covers where they had their horror month, I guess probably for October, back in the New 52 days, and like this Deathstroke cover. I talked about this one before, and I know I've talked about a few of these books, and even going to be talking some of the books we're going to cover a little bit later. I might have mentioned before in other shows, but we'll bring it all back together. But this just happens to be E.M. Gist. So that's why we're going to talk about it again, because now we're talking about the artist. So here we are, this Deathstroke cover, almost a zombified Monsters of the Month, number 11. This thing does okay. I mean, it's not like a super duper hard to find book, but copies just haven't sold recently. But the asking prices are still kind of in that $7 to $10 kind of range. I mean, it's not like it set the world on fire, but you might be able to find this in a dollar box, in a cheap box. And that's kind of where I'm pointing you towards. Look for this stuff for cheap and see what you can find, because it's just a really cool cover. And I think it would be worth it at the right price, personally. This one as well. This is Justice League Dark number 35. I think this is the next year's Monsters of the Month variant. Just really cool. You got Dead Man, you got Swamp Thing. I like it. I like it a lot. Once again, no copies sold on this one, but copies available, even online, are asking 99 cents. That's not an auction. That's a buy it now for 99 cents. $4, $2.50. Very cheap stuff. But I think it's a really cool cover that you can get for that kind of price. Just saying. And apart from that, he has also done some exclusives. He's worked on a number of exclusives, over the last few years as well. I think this one was for the IG Comic Store. I believe the Moon Knights, these early Moon Knights. This was number 2. I like this distressed look. Like, this book isn't damaged. It has like that distressed look on the trade dress. And then there's a Virgin version as well. I think that might even still be available at the IG Comic Store if you're interested in that kind of thing. So I'm not pricing these as far as showing you aftermarket prices, because these are exclusives. I'm firmly believe if you want to buy exclusives, buy it for you. Like, don't buy it to invest in. So if you like it, get it. If not, then leave it. Somebody else will buy it, or they'll just sit. Who knows? But then you got a Virgin version of that number 1 that he did, was also an exclusive, and then there was another one for this Daredevil, like an homage to back those Frank Miller, Daredevil books. Also kind of like that, but only get them if you like it and you want it for your collection. Don't try to invest in exclusives, because 9 out of 10 times you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. That's just the nature of the beast. It's just too many produced these days to make everything hit. Like, I don't know. Confluence of events have to hit for a book to really hit. And when they do, they do. That's great. Nothing against that. Nothing wrong with that. But just don't expect that to happen all the time, because it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. There's so many exclusives you don't even know exist, because they're just being made and they're just out there, and they're more localized, and you just have to be lucky to even hear about some of them. And I think that's going to make this a hard thing to do. To go 20 years from now, when we go digging, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough figuring out what we're looking at sometimes, because there's so many covers to kind of dig through. But we'll worry about that when we get, cross that bridge when we get there. That said, we're going to get past these store exclusives. I just wanted to point it out, because he did work on a number of store exclusives. And if you like them, go look for them. Support the artist, support the stores that made them. 2013, The Strain. This is one of the things I know we talked about when we did the 3 comic Monty, was some of the horror covers he did. But this run on The Strain and Dark Horse, he did a number of really great covers. There's some really cool covers in here. It's the 7 issues of The Strain. This was the first series of The Strain. I think he picked up at issue 5 and ran through to the end on issue 11. I think those were his 7 issues. So just showing you again, just some of the covers that I like, just picking out random ones. Issue 5, like that 9. That issue 9's awesome. Like, look, cool, just cool stuff. Then there was a follow-up miniseries. I think he did all 9 issues of this one, The Fall. Again, you can see just the paint. This is all painted artwork. This is just gorgeous stuff. Gorgeous stuff. And then the next series of The Strain, I think he did all 12 issues of this one. Once again, just showing you some covers to give you some, broad examples. And you can look online. The prices for these things are actually pretty cheap now. These used to be pretty expensive. The Strain, when it was on as a TV show, which I did enjoy, these books were kind of sought after. Now, I don't think anybody cares anymore. But, here we go. There's a bundle, a lot of 13 from the first run and the second run of the strain, $18 plus shipping. So you can find some of this stuff still pretty cheap. There's some lots online too, as low as $9, $20. They're just random issues, but he did so many of these covers that you're getting a lot of good stuff at some of these cheap prices if you were interested in that kind of thing. But go dig in the boxes, go hit the dollar boxes at your shops. Maybe you can find some of these Dark Horse books, because like I said, apart from the strain, he did do a couple other things. We had that AVP series, really cool. The Call of Duty Zombies, I talked about that recently on a different show. God of War, talked about it on another, I think Hidden Gems not that long ago. Some of these things, yes, I have talked about before, but inadvertently, these are all EM Gist covers and EM Gist books, which we can bring them all back together and now, once again, to just quickly discuss. So God of War, I know the new game's coming out soon. I'm not going to get it because I still don't have a PS5. I'm more of an Xbox guy, but yeah, maybe if I can get one, I'll get one and then I can play this. But until then, maybe we go look for the comics, because even this is starting to go up a little bit. $18, the whole 4-issue run, like $34. He did all 4 covers on this the Dark Horse God of War run. This is not the first run. This is I think the second run of mini series for God of War. The first one I think was through Wildstorm, and those got a little pricey. So the Dark Horse ones are a little easier to find and usually a little cheaper, but even the prices here seem to be ticking up. Asking prices can be as cheap as like cover price there, $4, $6, $10. You can find these out there, but like I said, check your shops, go dig in those boxes, maybe you find them there. Just a couple more random one-offs just to get us through here. Kylo Ren number 4. The Kylo Ren series was also another book, another mini series that had a number of issues that people started chasing after, some later printing, some variants. But even here, $9 for this Kylo Ren number 4. And meanwhile, available copies can be anywhere from cover price up to like $10. So again, inconsistent pricing. I'm not saying all this stuff should be super valuable. I'm just saying if you like the artist, go check out some of this stuff, because a lot of it can be had for cheap. Like Iron Fist. We have this Iron Fist number 4. He did this cover here. So again, you mix in the superhero stuff. Copies of this thing sell for $4 to $8. Not expensive. Again, not an incentive. This is just, I think, like a B cover of some kind. So it can be found for as cheap as $3 up to like $9. And there's a 9.8 asking only $55 if you're into that kind of thing. And like I said, he's also done DC, which we've seen. Here's a Swamp Thing. Did a couple Swamp Thing covers. I dig this. It's almost like the tree is a throne. I'm a sucker for the throne covers. I like this. And this is also, there's just a B cover for Swamp Thing number 9. $4 to $8. Copies have sold for. Asking prices about $4. As cheap as $1.50. So not expensive. Go check out EM Gist and get some books if you're interested. Like I said, gorgeous painted art. I'm a big fan. I like this stuff. So yeah, that was my artist retrospective for today. And I know it took over 20 minutes doing that one, but it's all right. We got a couple more books we can talk about and shift on over to variants. Now, variants. We typically do like low ratio or even just B covers. And we are going to start first with just a B cover. And I'm going to talk about a couple G.I. Joe books just because this is what I had on my list to do. It's funny that I actually had this on my to-do list. I was going to do this probably like last week had I not squeezed in a Halloween episode. So this was earmarked to go before. Like I've got like the artist and the books planned out for like a couple of weeks ahead of time. I pivot and I change if I really get taken on by an idea. But for the most part, I try to plan things out so I know what I'm going to be doing. But this G.I. Joe B cover, I found it funny that I had this on my to-do list. And just this week, my buddy Astro Wizard pointed out this book on his IG. So it's again, I see it, I'll call it out. So similar minds. We're both thinking about this book. So it's a cool cover. I found one of these for 50 cents, but it had a little bit of damage on it, so it's not a great copy. I would, got to get another copy if I find one in a cheap box too, but that's the copy I have right now. It's kind of a little banged up, but it could sell for as cheap as $4. It's a really cool Baroness cover. Again, it's a subscription cover. This is the B cover from IDW. It's not the cover A, and it's not the incentive. It is just the subscription cover, but even some of these can be tough. And you can see available copy right now. There's one like $12. Again, just giving you ballpark amounts, rough estimates of what's out there, what they go for, what people are asking. So there you go. Pretty cool cover if you can go and grab this one. I think it's Cliff Chiang did the cover on this one. I like it. I dig it. So looking for another one that's better than the one I already got. Also, going back to the IDW books, I know I talk a lot of IDW these days, but I don't know. Some of this stuff is interesting to me. Like again, some of these B covers, these subscription covers. Random issue 169. We're going back. This is like early 2010s. This might have been 2010, 2011. I'm not sure the exact year this one came out, but this is a B cover for issue 169 when IDW first picked up the G.I. Joe IP. So they picked up the property. They continued on from the final issue to issue 155 from the original Marvel run. And this is G.I. Joe Real American Hero, the first time they picked up off of that. And I think they did it again later. But 169 B cover. This thing is interesting. I like this cover. There are no copies that have sold for this particular cover recently. And the asking prices that I found were $27 up to $85 raw for a B cover. Just like I said, things I found interesting. You may not have been aware of some of the prices on some of these books, so maybe it's worth going and digging through a back issue box on an old G.I. Joe book because it's just a B cover. It's a good chance it's there if they have G.I. Joe books. So go digging. Who knows what you can find? And I'm going to spotlight just a couple, but there are a lot of issues like this that you can also find. Just do a little bit of research, do a little bit of digging, and you'll be surprised what you can find. This is just kind of getting the ball rolling, get you start thinking about some things like this B cover, subscription cover for G.I. Joe, IDW. There's also a ratio, so I figured I'd show you that one as well. The 1 in 10 is just a sketch cover. As you saw, it just transitioned to the sketch cover version. Not a huge sketch cover fan. I'll get the occasional one here and there, but this one is also very tough to find. No copies that sold recently, and I could only find one copy available for this 1 in 10, and it's looking for $250 raw. Once again, prices could be very high on some of these, as they could be tough, but they may be tough online. That doesn't mean they're not tucked away in a back issue bin at shops near you. Maybe not near me, maybe not near you or you, but you in the back, you might be able to find them. So just letting you guys know, hit your boxes, give you something to go hunt, give you something to go dig for, and see if you guys get lucky. And if you do, tag me. Let me know what you find, and tag me on Instagram. I love seeing when people find books and seeing people's collections. Even if you haven't already, share it. I'd love to see it too. So keep that in mind as well. One more G.I. Joe issue, kind of in that same time frame range, just to kind of share again. 174. This is the B cover. I think there was a death in this issue. You got the, well, obviously there's a casket, so, death of a Cobra character. And that's partly why it's sought after, but I think it's also just the B covers are not always as easy to find as the A's. And yes, this one only sold best offer on $22. Doesn't seem like all that much. But then the only one available wants $150 raw. If you want it, you got to pay apparently, or get lucky. Hope another one comes up. I don't know. Just pointing it out. That's all. Just pointing out what I see. And this one also has a 1 in 10 sketch cover of that same issue. So keep an eye out for this one as well. And this one actually sold a couple, and they sold for not too bad. $15, $35 back in October. 2 copies sold of the 1 in 10. But if you look now, all that's left is a $40 copy and a $150 copy. So as I said, sometimes cheap copies come up, they sell. All that's left are those high-priced ones. And yes, maybe the high-priced one never sells, but it's the only one there in a lot of cases. So then you got to make that decision whether you want to be patient or whether you want to pull out your wallet. Your call. I'm not saying anybody to do that. I wouldn't do that, not for this, but it is kind of tough to find. Would be nice to have, but I don't know. Go dig in a shop. Like I said, check out your LCS. You don't have to buy it online. One more book, and this is not G.I. Joe. I probably just should have left it with the G.I. Joes, but for whatever reason, I randomly decided to squeeze in this Wolverine 1000. Also a B cover. I like this cover. It's pretty cool. I don't know. I like the look of it. It is a B cover. This is also like a oversized edition. I think this might be an 80-page book, so it's a little thicker. Cover price was a little bit more. Actually, it's only $5, but at the time, copy sold for like $11 back in October. Sometimes these things get listed like this. I think it's listed as 1 in 10, but this is not a 1 in 10. This is just a B cover from what I can see. So just be careful sometimes with the listing and just keep that in mind when you're looking at the pricing. So $30 is the only one that's available. So while one sold for 11, the only one I could find right now was like $28. So just something to keep an eye out for. But in case you find it at your shop, maybe you find it for $4 or $5 and you like it and you just want to grab it for that reason. If I saw this in a box for $5, I'd probably buy it. If I saw it in a box for $10, I don't know if I'd buy it. I'd probably leave it. But that's just me. I like buying things for cheap. But you get to make that decision for yourself. I'm showing you the market. You make the call. Now, Moving on, let's hit up later prints because I still got 3 more segments to get through. So let's not dilly-dally too much longer. Later prints this week are going to be focused in on Venom. I don't know. Like I said, I just put it on a list of things to do, and I figured we eventually had to get around to these. This is the first issue number 1, first print of Venom from, I think it's 2011. I want to say this is the 2011 series. Cool stuff. I think this was the Flash Thompson run. Yeah, Flash Thompson, I believe, was Venom at this time. This is the second print, red cover. So they took the white cover, made it red. Very striking. Sells pretty well. This is the second printing. You can see here copies of this sell for anywhere as cheap as $10 at auction to as high as $60. Both raw prices. Available copies, $25 raw, $55 raw, $210 for a 9.8. Up to you what you want to do with that information. I like the cover. I don't believe I have this one. I think I just have the first print. But there are actually a number of printings of this book. So red is the second. Red is the second, while orange is the third. So there's this one out there as well. And this one also can sell for a decent amount or not. These look like all 3 of these are 9.4s. There's a CBCS 9.4 that sold one bid for $25, and then 2 CGCs. I think it might have been the same copy that sold twice. That sold for about $25 as well. So for whatever reason, the only sales are 9.4s for $25. 3 different times in the last 3 months. One was in November, one was in October, one was in September. Crazy. Available copies, however, $35 raw, $70 raw, $200 raw. Those are the asks. Go ahead, take a look. I just pulled this stuff right off of eBay, and I did this today on Sunday. So that's what's on the market. You can take a look as well. I don't know. That's a bit steep for me. I hope to find it cheaper in a box, which is why I'm telling you, this is what Hidden Gems is for. It's for you to go digging. Go hit your shops, go digging and look for this stuff. Maybe you find it. And maybe you find the fourth print pink, because that seems to be the one everybody likes the most. I like it. It's pretty cool. It's got a different look. Everything listed is hard to find. I got to imagine it probably is pretty hard to find. I haven't found it, so I haven't been looking forever, but I haven't found it yet. You can see here, looks like a couple of different versions of 9.8 sold. First, second, third, fourth sketch printings. Best offer on like $2,000. So that I just wanted to point that out because that's what sold. And then there's $75 raw, best offer sold as well recently. Asking prices on this one, however, $100, $200 raw, $100 for an 8.5, $500 raw. Just some steep asking prices out there. Just saying. So if you can find this one, and if you can find it for a decent price, just keep that in mind. Keep the fourth print pink cover in mind because it could sell pretty well. Sticking with this series, there were 2 more issues that had second prints that I kind of want to cover. The first one being, this is issue 2. Yep. Familiar cover, right? ASM 300 homage. Haven't seen enough of these. So here we go again with another one. This is issue 2. This is the A cover. But the second print is a red version of the same cover. Just like the second print for number 1. $25, $75 best offer on this. Raw for both. Available copies, $85 to $100. Then there's a first and second print together for $95. So still pretty close to $100 raw for this book if you can find it. So again, go digging. Maybe you find it. Maybe you get lucky. I know some of this stuff's probably already been picked clean, and people, it's not like, again, it's not that these are secret books. And even the word hidden is maybe a little bit deceptive. It's just sometimes these are forgotten about. Like some people just forgot that this book sells pretty well. So when some stores get new collections in, they might not have done research. They might just throw it out to what they remember. Some second print. We'll just throw it out there for $5 or $10. See what happens. Who knows? See what you can find. See if you can get lucky. That said, we have number 5 as our last later printing. This one doesn't go the route of the other 2 with the red background change. This one is a little more interesting to me. They decided to add bullet holes because this is one of those, like a target practice Venom kind of cover. So this is regular 5. And then the second print, number 5, again, add more bullet holes to it. And it says second print on the front. Pretty cool. $15. Best offer on 30 raw for this one. Asking price, I found one for like $40. It's kind of cool, and I kind of wish I found this one. I don't know, I like it, but I'm not paying $40 for it. But again, that's just me. Pretty cheap. Hope to find it in a box one of these days. And if I do, I do. If I don't, well, I collect plenty of things. I'm not going to be heartbroken over this one, but kind of hope I do find this one because I like it. Now, 2 more segments left. We're hitting 35 minutes. I'm going to try to keep powering through. Oddities are up next. Now, I could have put these under reprints, but I wanted to put them under oddities because I like I don't know, I guess they're odd. It's just a little bit different. These are reprints. These are not later printings. These are reprints. So maybe I should have put it as reprints instead of oddities, but here we are. First one, Marvel must-haves. There was a whole run of Marvel must-haves that ran like 20-some plus different volumes. And this is issue 22 of that run, covering NYX. Issues 1 through 3 are inside here. So it reprints issues 1 through 3, which is the first appearance of X23. They reused the cover art for issue 3. Good idea on their part. Helps this book sell. This thing sells for a decent amount for it being a later print, a reprint, if you will, not a later print, a reprint. 9.8, about $150. Raw copies, $90. And then, you'll see there's a pair of books there, best offer on $80. Available copies, $75, $50, $90. Decent prices for what is a reprint. Issues 1 through 3 of NYX. Now, this was issue 22 of Marvel Must-Haves. Issue 23 finished the series with issues 4 and 5 of NYX. They used the cover to issue 4. Again, the next best cover in that run. Smart move on their part. But these Marvel Must-Have reprints are still kind of interesting. You can see again that $80 for the 2 of them together. $8.50, you can sell as cheap as that. And again, paired up, $45. Pricing can be, depending how you find them, because you find them in lots and also how they're listed. Some of them listed as Marvel Must-Have, NYX. Some of them just listed as Marvel Must-Have issue 22, because that's 22 and 23, because that's what these are technically. $60 for the pair, $15 to $25 for this one individually. I like these. I think I have the first one, the issue 22 for the NYX 3 cover. I have that one somewhere in a box. I don't know if I have this one. But as I said, they did like through the 20s, they stopped numbering them that way, and they decided to do more of like one shots. So it'd be like Marvel must have this, that, or the other. The reason why I bring that up is because our next book is another Marvel must-have that was not numbered as part of that original run. This is Frankencastle. Again, we've talked about Frankencastle a couple of times on this channel, or I have, because there's variants, there's just the regular books. It is such an oddball idea and concept that I'm not surprised the books are sought after, because it's just so weird that you just kind of want to look at the train wreck. That is Frankencastle. And this is a reprint of the birth of the monster. So another way for you to get that book. Marvel Must-Have number 1, Frankencastle. It's like $20. $20 raw are some of the recent sales. Asking prices, again, 20 to 30. So if you find it in a box, that's what you're looking at. Just good information, I think. Just like this next book, which I talked about once before on Dollar Bending. I think my buddy Chris Nelms put me on this book because he'd found one and then I had found one. And I found it for $1. The rainbows, the rainbow puppies was great. It reminds me of what they did in Suicide Squad with Harley Quinn. So instead of blood being spattered everywhere, rainbows and puppies are flying out of all these wounds that X-Force is attributing to people. So this collects X-Force 1 through 3. Marvel Must-Have X-Force. Rainbow puppies. That's sometimes how it's listed. Fun book. Go look for it. Just one of those. And this is why I put this in oddities, because I started here and worked backwards. So this is why I put it in oddities, because I think Rainbow Puppies is kind of odd to put on something like X-Force. But there we go. $15, $12, $10. It's pretty cheap. It's not too bad what the recent sale prices are. But the asking prices, however, are a bit more in the $25, $30, $55 range. So again, another case where cheap copies go, and then the more expensive copies tend to linger a little bit longer. So people are more apt to buy this for cheap quickly and then let the other one sit and hope to get it for a better price. I'm telling you, go dig in a box at your shop, see what you can find. Again, these are going to be reprints, and they're usually collecting multiple books, so they're going to be on the thicker side. So sometimes shops will put that kind of stuff in separate boxes. Go dig in odd places. Who knows where this might be? This might be tucked and listed under X-Force. It might be under Marvel Must-Have. It might be in reprint. Like, who knows? I don't know how your shop will organize their stuff. It's just worth it to go look in those weird nooks and crannies of a shop. And again, why I put this in oddities, because you can find this in different places. one more segment. We have my nostalgia picks. Well, pick really. And I decided for whatever reason, no connection whatsoever to the other things we talked about. I felt like now was a good time for us to look at Alf. Alien life form. I used to watch this show when I was younger. It made very little sense. I don't know why I watched it. I haven't really gone back to watch it. I don't know if it holds up. I honestly don't. I kind of don't want to watch it again to ruin the memories that I do have. So, Alf from Melmac. And there was also an animated show, but there was a comic series that ran for 50 issues. 50 issues, an impressive feat for something like this. Almost like a comedy kid book for the most part. But here's issue 1 of Alf. Issue 1, yeah, it does okay. You usually find it for like real cheap, like $3. There are some that's best offers on 18. Then there are usually a lot of lots. You can see there's a lot that's sold as well. And even shopping, you can see lots of random issues for like $20. And then there are individual listings as high as like $30. Some people asking more for newsstands. So if you find Alf in the dollar box, just keep that in mind. Keep issue 1 in mind, and it might be worth grabbing just in case, especially if it's a really nice, clean copy. And I guess newsstand, because people like to buy and pay more for newsstands these days for whatever reason. That said, issue 1, and then go to the later in the series, because those are the other ones that print run starts going down, harder to find. Those are really going to be where you're going to be making a couple extra bucks if you can dig them out. So we know it ends with issue 50. So let's take a look at these last few. Issue 47, pretty fun little like newspaper kind of style thing going here. Issue 47, I found one copy that had sold in a lot for only $10. It's not too bad, but at the same time, asking prices individually, somebody was asking $38 for this one. And then there's another lot about $30 that has a few other issues with it. I don't know, late run, tougher to find. Just get it if it's cheap enough. Again, I'm telling you, dollar bin dig at this point. We're talking about Alf here, so I'm not expecting anybody to be buying this off a wall. You're going to be taking this out of a cheap box, most likely a dollar box. So look for 47. And obviously, our next one is probably the one you guys go, yeah, what about this one? This is the Alf book everybody looks for. 48. Give you a moment to take a look at the cover, and you can figure out why people look for this book. Yes, it's a bit inappropriate. I don't think it's planned. It's one of those coincidental inappropriateness, especially do not buy if safety seal is missing. It's just one of those things. A lot of people list this as banned and recalled, but everything I looked at, I haven't seen anything backing up that this was actually recalled. I think this is it is a controversial take because people have made it controversial because they got, they like to look for the inappropriateness. And I see it. I think it's funny too. But I don't think it was actually recalled in any way. But you will see a lot of listings list this as recalled and banned and such things. But I don't think that was actually the case from everything I could see. I could be wrong. If you know more, share some information in the link, because I was looking online to try to find something to tie in and connect those dots, but I just couldn't find anything definitive. So I think this is just one of those controversial covers because it is coincidentally inappropriate, but it is not coincidentally very expensive. So if you can find this 48 with the seal, you've done well, because copies sell for $177.50 with 26 bids raw, $185 raw, $90. Buy it now. Pretty pricey for this random Alf book. Listings, there's a bunch of listings. I just wanted to grab these to kind of ballpark you and show you that $200 or so raw is the asking price, and then 9.8, $2,000. $2,000 for 9.8 of this book. So go dig. Maybe you get lucky. And that's issue 48. We're not doing 49. We're skipping just to issue 50. Final issue in the series. I think we've covered enough tonight. Issue 50 canceled. Poor Alf. Reusing. I like it when they reuse the first cover with the last cover. I mean, She-Hulk did it as well. But here we go. Last issue. And this is like, $20, $10. You're going to see this for $46 for a 9.6. It is a giant size final issue. $10 to $20 are the asking prices. Not really, again, going to set the world on fire if you find it. But like I said, if you find these things for $1, it might be worth grabbing, or $2, or whatever. Whenever you find it in your cheap back issue bins, this is the kind of fun stuff I think you should go digging for. And maybe you find, and maybe make a few bucks if you decide to sell it, or you just found yourself a fun little collectible for a cheap price and you didn't pay these, online market prices. So that's, again, the point why I do this. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and hopefully you still enjoy this series. Thanks for stopping by. I still have plenty of more ideas of books to cover, especially considering I made this all segmented with different topics. So there's a number of different ways I can take any episode each week. So keep watching and keep checking out what I'm going to bring to you next week and the week after, etc. So back on our normal schedule, a couple extra videos thrown in here with some pickups and some unboxings. So go check those out as well. And come back on Wednesday for the live tax show. And yeah, check out everything else here on the channel. I appreciate you all. More content to come. And I'll see you all later. All right.